If you got refused, there is one thing that can either make or break your application. That's getting GCMS notes. Applying again without GCMS notes is like driving late at night without headlights. What is GCMS notes? It's a very long document that has one page of what you need that looks like this. This is what a human visa officer behind your application thought about your case. This part contains a key to your approval. My name's Max, I run a law firm. We help students come to Canada and build successful future here. Here is some food for thought for you. We charge $2,000 for a visa reapplication after you got refused. But since I'm sharing all of this for free with you, give this video a big like and let me know your thoughts in the comments below after you finish watching. Here's what you need to do after you get a refusal. First, order GCMS notes. Second, identify key problems. Third, address problems in a new letter of explanation with supporting documents. Make sure you watch until the very end as I have the best tip for a refusal saved until then. Let's start with the first step, ordering GCMS notes. You can only do this from within Canada. This is where friends, family, or a law firm like ours come into play. These notes take 1 to 2 months to arrive, but I promise you, it's all worth it as you'll see a full picture before you apply again and not rely on the generic refusal letter. Step 2. Identify key problems. Let's talk about the most common and uncommon refusal reasons and how we helped our clients in the past overcome them to get approved. The visa officer thinks you'll not return home. It's a classic one. This can read different things like you're not established or you don't have enough home ties. And here's a unique approach that you probably haven't heard before to fix this problem. Think about your ROI, return on investment. Take out a piece of paper and split it in 2 halves. On the left one, write down how much you make per year in your home country right now. On the right hand side, how much your study program costs. Now, combine those two and draw an arrow down to how much you'll make when you return home after school in Canada. This number should make sense in terms of your investment in studying in Canada, as it will help you come up with a stronger explanation as to why you need to cross the ocean, come so far to study in Canada and spend so much money. Plus, you can add your parents, children, and spouse that remain home as another big reason for you to return. Insufficient funds. When applying for a study permit, it's necessary that you prove you possess sufficient funds to cover the entire cost of studies, travel to Canada, and living expenses for yourself and any other dependents that will accompany you during your entire study period. Important you pay attention, entire study period, not just 1 year. This financial proof is commonly known as show money. Typically, the government wants to see 4 months worth of bank statements as evidence of having adequate show money. Failure to convince the government of your financial capacity to sustain yourself and your family while being in Canada will be detrimental and lead to a refusal. To fix this, come up with more money. It's that simple, and explain where it comes from. But it's not always so easy, as we once had a client who was paid in cryptocurrency. So you can imagine what type of hassle we had to go through to come up with ways to prove that the client was actually financially capable of studying. And that proof was bank deposits, statements, and withdrawal receipts to prove his financial standing back home. Odd study program. This means your study program is not in line with your career. For example, you worked as a software engineer for 5 years, but all of a sudden you decided to study baking in Canada. Like, what? Such a choice seems illogical to any visa officer, sadly. You can always switch your program when you come to Canada, but you need that first approval. It seems illogical for a visa officer for 2 reasons. First of all, it doesn't lead to a better pay. Second, it can be found at home as it's something very common, so why cross the ocean for all that? Think how you can address this in your letter of explanation, and worst things worst, a trick we used once was we said that a visa officer is not a trained educational consultant, so cannot provide career advancement judgment. But of course, it was said by my immigration lawyer, so it's not the same as a client says it in their letter of explanation, if it makes sense. Family in Canada. The fact that you have family members in Canada might have got you refused. And it's okay. It's totally okay. You're not gonna kill them just for you to get your study permit approved. There's ways around it. What you can do is explain to the visa officer how those family members in Canada have their own lives there in Canada. However, you have a much better life back in your home country. Previous immigration intentions. If you had an active express entry profile, this might have been the worst thing you've done with regard to your study permit application. To overcome this, you need to highlight your home ties. As I mentioned before, think about two categories of ties: personal and business ties. State that even though you had immigration intentions before in the past, things are different now. Now it's time to make a strong letter of explanation and come up with supporting documents considering all these factors I just listed out for you. For example, to prove financial home ties, you can have a job offer letter, a real estate deed. For personal ties, you can have a marriage certificate, a volunteer letter, or a medical condition letter showing that you need to be there for your elderly parents because they have, let's say, a chronic disease. In order to prove finances, you can use bank statements and affidavits of financial support if you have sponsors. Cases are very individual, and if you need my perspective or want our lawyers on your side, feel free to book a meeting with me by clicking on the link in the description to this video. If you're looking to craft a stronger letter of explanation, watch this video next to see our winning approach to a letter of explanation. I'll see you in that video.